start. So.
Okay.
Hey everybody, good morning, good afternoon, wherever you are joining us from today. I'm really excited for this session, Speed to Lead Strategies and Templates to Land More Jobs Faster Than You Are Today. We're in an industry, most of you guys are repair, restoration professionals. We're in a space where speed is of the essence, time is of the essence, and anything that we can do to help, get that job quicker, get in front of that lead quicker, is going to really help us with our business and grow our business. So this topic is going to be pretty interactive. We're going to share some strategies that we've seen work over the last few months in the restoration and home repair space, as well as some templates. And my friend Michael Madison from ServiceMonster is going to be sharing ways that you can set up your CRM for success to make sure that you're tracking all this stuff, measuring what works and what doesn't. So this is going to be very action-packed, but we're going to try to keep it within 45 minutes or so. Michael and I were talking before. Nobody really wants to sit on a 1 hour long webinar, so we're going to try to keep it nice and short and sweet and get to the good points here. So hey, Michael, thanks for hopping on, man.
Yeah, happy to be here. Super cool. Excited to talk about all this lead stuff. It's kind of like the fun part of, I think, of talking to business owners is learning their lead strategies and seeing how they kind of get the ball rolling with all these jobs. So, and like you were saying, restoration especially, it's super important to be on it. I've talked to a lot of restoration companies where that's their big focus, is just the speed of getting those leads, getting those jobs booked. So yeah, super happy to be here. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, of course. And as we get started, guys, just a couple housekeeping items. The chat is on the right side of your webinar control panel. So hop on over to the chat right now as people are jumping in. Let us know where you're joining us from today. I looked at the registration list, got people from all over the US. So feel free to shout out your company and where you're from in the chat section. And then as we go through the webinar, feel free to ask any questions that you have for us in that chat section, or you can just hop on over to the Q&A and we'll address them as we go along. Again, we're going to keep this as interactive as we can. I want this to be a resource for you guys, and I want you guys to be a resource for each other as well. So if you guys have any ideas about how to handle certain topics that we're talking about today and things that are working in your business, feel free to hop onto the chat and chat away. So welcome, Tammy from Canton, Ohio.
Nice.
1-800 water damage. All right. Alex from Houston, welcome to the webinar. And again, like I mentioned before, this webinar is going to be about 45 minutes or so. We're going to get started in just a minute. Christine, welcome from Tucson. Alex from Roof Repair Squad, how you doing, man? Tony from AAA Water Damage Restoration. All right, so most of you guys are in restoration, home repair, so this is a very fitting topic for you guys. Tony from Graybull, Wyoming. All right, Wyoming. David from Minneapolis. Welcome, Christine from Commercial Cleaning and Restoration. All right. Cool. So we got folks from all over the U.S. here today. Let's go ahead and get started. My name's Josh. I'm the marketing manager here at Hatch, and I'm really excited to be working with a lot of our partner companies, helping, provide additional value to our customers by building out integrations with our product, partnerships that make sense, that help improve your business. And one of those partners that we're really excited to be working with is ServiceMonster. They're an amazing business management solution for home services companies. And I wanted to pull ServiceMonster in on this webinar because they've got a large number of restoration and cleaning clients where, booking jobs quickly is really, really important. And getting those, jobs done quickly is very important as well. So Michael, thanks for hopping on, man. I'm excited for the partnership and excited for all the stuff you guys are doing over at ServiceMonster.
Yeah, like Josh said, my name is Michael, marketing coordinator here at ServiceMonster. He introed me great. I don't know what else to say. Josh is amazing. He's a wonderful person to work with. And I just want to point out too, like these integrations between software companies are so crucial to success. Like CRM is kind of like the hub of a lot of things, but having these tools that kind of are built in on the side make your processes so much easier and so much smoother as a restoration business. So I love getting to work with these other companies, and Hatch has been a fantastic partner for the past, I think year or more now, year and a half, I don't know. So yeah, thanks for having me here.
Yeah. You bet. All right, so we're going to open this up with a poll question. How many of your new leads are actually turning into appointments? So I'm going to go ahead and launch this poll. Jump on into the poll. It's on the right side of your screen, or it'll pop up. So how many of your new leads are turning into appointments? 90% or more, 60 to 80%, 40 to 60%, or less than 40%. And this is going to help frame this discussion today, guys, because everything that we're going to talk about today is what you need to be doing as a business, as marketers, as business owners, to take those new leads, qualify them, and make sure that they're turning into appointments and jobs. And one way to do that, and the main topic we're going to be talking about today is doing that through speed. So speed to lead is the overarching topic here. Get to new leads fast, get those appointments booked fast, get those jobs scheduled fast, and execute on that. So looks like a majority of you guys are sitting in the middle, 40 to 60, 60 to 80.
Nice.
That's good. The folks that are 60 to 80%. And of course, it's going to differ based upon what services that you provide. If you provide, fire restoration services, we typically see that more leads get booked than flood damage, for example. It all depends on sort of the space that you're in. But our goal here, guys, is to help you improve that percentage here. We want to help you, book more appointments with those new leads that come in. So thanks for participating, guys. Industry average is about 60%. So across restoration and home repair. So it looks like most of you guys are sitting somewhere in the middle around there. So our goal here today is to help you improve that number. So I always like doing math, and I want to make it super, super simple for you guys. I just want to show you guys what just a small change in improving the number of appointments that you set actually means to your revenue. So let's just assume that your average job size is around $3,000, and you get 100 leads that come in. This is just an example. So let's just say you get 100 leads that came in last week. Let's say you set 60 appointments, and then of those 60 appointments, 50 of those run, and you've got a pretty decent close rate. So 35 of those appointments that you run turn into closed business. So you're closing about $105,000 in new business. Now, let's just say we improved that appointment set rate by 20%. Well, the lead volume is going to stay the same because all we're doing is fixing one part of this funnel, and that's what we're going to be talking about today. 20% more appointments, 60 appointments turns into 72 appointments, means that you're going to run 60 appointments, which is 10 more than 50, and then you're going to close more business. You're going to close 7 more jobs in a week, which is 20% more sales. So assuming, again, that average job size is $3,000, 42 times 3 is $126,000 in jobs just by improving your appointment set rate by 20%. So that's an additional $21,000 in sales just by improving your appointment set rate by 20%. And one of the main ways that we're seeing companies do that is by being first to the lead and following up with those leads until you get that appointment booked. So we're going to be talking about strategies to do that. Michael's going to be talking about strategies to actually manage all that in your CRM. So I'm really excited for this topic today, and I hope that makes sense. Michael, does that make sense? The math, all the funnel stuff I'm showing here.
Yeah, it makes sense to me. I mean, I think the biggest takeaway from it is the math at the bottom, comparing just 20% more appointments, like you said, equals $21,000 more dollars. That's quite a big increase. And I mean, I would be stoked about that if that was my business. So yeah, makes sense. Sounds great.
And I get it, guys. Like it's super frustrating to be sitting on like sessions and webinars and reading blog posts where they try to tell you all these things that you need to improve in your business. But if you were to just isolate one thing in your business next week, go in on Monday and isolate one thing, and that's going to be improving that appointment set rate. And we're going to show you guys how to do that today. Focus just on that, and the sales will come. And then you can address something else in your funnel, which I'm sure there'll be another webinar for something else in the funnel. Today, we're just going to be focusing on setting that appointment and managing that job. So I talked through what we're going to talk about today, ways, what your website needs to connect with more leads, what to do to actually get those appointments booked, and what to do with folks that go dark on you. And then, of course, the last piece is how to set up your CRM to measure and improve as you work through improving this whole sales funnel, appointment set rate, improving those sales through that. So it's definitely going to be a jam-packed session. And by the way, guys, this is going to be the only section where this is a commercial. This is not a sales pitch. This webinar is actually all educational. I know a lot of webinars are sales pitches. This is not going to be that. We have 2 slides about our companies, and that's all you're going to hear about us. So go ahead, Michael. Tell us about ServiceMonster, because ServiceMonster is awesome.
Yeah. So ServiceMonster is a CRM. If you don't know what a CRM is, customer relationship management software. But it's a lot more than that. It's kind of like the hub of your business, all of your scheduling, customer management. So your customer history, your accounts, all that is managed from within ServiceMonster. So the way I like to talk about it is from call to close, keeping track of all of your customer and job details. So you manage all your work orders, all your invoices. We even have a lot of follow-up marketing tools because at ServiceMonster, we're really big on data and putting your data to work for you. And one of those things we focus on is your repeat rate, is getting those repeat jobs. And so we have a ton of dashboards, reports, and little KPIs all throughout the system that tell you take all the data that's running through your system and put it into easily digestible reports for you to use and see how your business is doing. Like month-to-month comparisons, year-to-date comparisons, all sorts of stuff like that. So yeah, it's a fantastic software platform. We have a ton of awesome integrations, Hatch being one of them, that together you can just run your entire business from our desktop software, also from the app on your phone. You can do pretty much anything you would need from your phone, from a computer. And yeah, so it's great for any type of business. We do focus a little more on cleaning and restoration type businesses. So we love seeing you guys here because this is a product that we really feel is suited for this industry specifically. We've put a lot of time and effort into learning what cleaning and restoration industry really needs from a CRM.
Yeah, absolutely. And I can't speak about ServiceMonster you hire. Then we have, so we're proud to have integration with ServiceMonster. Hatch is a messaging app designed to increase your close rate, increase that appointment set rate. So we can instantly connect up to all your lead forms, whether you're getting leads from HomeAdvisor, Modernize, or just on your website, connect up to that, instantly text those leads, email, leave a voicemail with those leads as soon as they come in, automate your rehash. So if you quote somebody and they disappear, automate that whole follow-up process there, as well as appointment, installation confirmations, service confirmations, all that stuff in one inbox or workspace, whatever you want to call it there. And we're really excited to have an integration with ServiceMonster. ServiceMonster is the one of the premium CRMs and business management softwares in this space. And again, why I wanted Michael on this webinar is because they work with a lot of restoration clients, and we've got a lot of folks in the restoration space that use Hatch and ServiceMonster together. And at Hatch, we have insights into thousands of conversations that are happening, every minute basically in our platform. And we know what works and what doesn't work when it comes to homeowner communications. And so with ServiceMonster, you're managing that job. With Hatch, you're managing all those communications, and then the conversation history gets passed over to ServiceMonster. So a new lead comes in, all those details about the contact, what kind of job they're looking to accomplish, the first name, last name, email, whatever information that you have coming in from your lead sources gets passed over to Hatch to instantly engage with those leads, and then that also gets passed over to ServiceMonster for you to manage the job, and then the conversation history gets passed to ServiceMonster. And as updates are made to ServiceMonster, updates are made into Hatch, so you can make sure that you're staying on top of the homeowner in the right part of the sales cycle. So again, really excited for the integration. It's one of Hatch's actually original integrations. It's one of our strongest. Customers that are using Hatch and ServiceMonster together are seeing a lot of success. So let's just get right into it, guys. Three things your website needs to connect with leads fast. Let's just start from the top here. Textable phone number. Texting is absolutely critical in your business. In fact, if you were to look at the data that came out recently, I believe it was a study from HubSpot, 9 out of 10 homeowners want to have two-way text conversations with contractors. And from your perspective, not only does the homeowner want to have text conversations with you, texting also has a 98% open rate. I mean, just look at your phone. Do you have any unread text messages sitting in your phone? Michael, do you?
Nope, I do not.
Yeah, it's because I blew him up today. He had to open them up.
Yeah, exactly.
And it's
like
got
delete.
Yep. And it's got a higher response rate too. 209% higher than phone, email, or Facebook. So the data is the numbers are there, and here at Hatch we're tracking that because we have contractors texting homeowners all day long, and we know it's got a high open rate. We know it's got a high response rate. So I want to encourage you guys to implement texting in your business, and Hatch, we're happy to help you with that, with what we're doing here from a messaging standpoint. But if you look at it in terms of what the homeowner wants, they want to have that quick interactions with the business. And oftentimes over text, they'll tell you things that they might not tell you over the phone. And so as a restoration business, if you have something front and center that says, hey, for fast answers, call or text, to give somebody the option. And then you can actually do this really cool thing in the browser where you can click to text or click to call. So if they're on like a Mac, it can actually open up iMessage and they can text instantly. So think of it like just an instant conversation that you can have with homeowners. So that's the first piece. Textable phone number. You guys all have phone numbers. You guys all probably have call centers if you're a restoration company to get to leads fast for emergency service. Implement texting in your business as well. Maybe you need to have two separate numbers. Whatever the case is, we find texting to be a lot more effective to get jobs booked fast. The second piece is a chat widget, having web chat on your website. So what does that look like? So on your website at the bottom right, give somebody the ability to engage with you via web chat. There's a lot of web chat solutions out there. This is an example of Hatches. We take a different approach to web chat. We actually ask for your cell phone number and then what they're interested in, and then click text me. And then when you click text me, you can basically go, when the homeowner leaves your website, you can engage with them over text. So we basically use web chat as a way to get a texting conversation started. It's the equivalent of having, for a remodeling company, having a showroom, and somebody walks in and says, oh, I'm really interested in learning more about these windows. But if they give you their cell phone number, you're going to be able to engage with them once they leave your showroom. It's the same way with your website. A lot of web chat solutions out there, they don't collect information like cell phone or email. So when they leave your website, you don't even know who they are or can't talk to them. So important to collect that information up front, whatever you guys are using. This is just one example. So first thing is have a textable phone number. Second thing is have web chat on your site. And the third thing is having a web form that qualifies. And what do I mean by that? I mean a web form that is front and center on your website. So when a homeowner has water damage, fire damage, roof damage from a recent storm, give them the ability to reach out to you, obviously through the web chat and through texting, but also give them an opportunity to fill out a form. And in that form, it should qualify them. And what do I mean by that? So on the left-hand side, this is a web form of a restoration company where they collect name, email, phone, zip code, and then how can we help you? There's nothing in here that sort of funnels that lead and makes the lead fill out information about the type of work they need to get done. It just says, how can we help you? So when you guys get the leads and you have a long list of leads sitting there, you've got to go through each one and sort of pick out the ones that you want to go after based upon what they say and how can we help you. So I encourage that you guys make it a little bit more pointed, qualify that lead up front, because I can't tell you how many times I've seen a restoration company that does fire restoration, but not flood restoration or water restoration. And somebody comes in and thinks that they do a job that they don't do. So it's important that you qualify the lead up front, get their time frame. So this is an example of a web form that I think works pretty well. So go on your website, look at your web form, see what kind of questions you're asking. And if you can make it a little bit more pointed, it's going to help your reps as they follow up and set that appointment. And it's going to also help personalize it a little bit more and increase the likelihood of you actually setting that appointment. So in this example, ask for time frame when they need the job done. Likely if you're providing emergency services, it's right away, but maybe it's mold restoration and they're looking to do this, mold removal, and they're looking to, get that done in, a couple weeks or something like that. Make sure you get a time frame. And then obviously what happened, that's important as well. So you can funnel that to the right person that handles, say, fire damage or water damage. And then this is another thing that I've seen some companies do. It's ask the anticipated value of the home. That's going to help you look at the leads that are coming in and the potential job size without actually asking, or providing a quote, for example. So you can look at that and see, okay, the value of the home is less than 150K. It's fire damage. It's in this zip code. Likely the home is this size. Here's the resources that I need to allocate to this lead. So that just helps you with sort of the prioritization and the lead routing to the right rep. And a lot of you guys are working for restoration companies that are pretty large. You have call centers, you have, 5 to 10 sales reps. So it's important that you collect all this information up front. And it's also the people that are just looking around on your site and might fill out this form and not be super interested or not even be interested in something that you do. It eliminates those leads and allows you to be focused on leads that actually are going to set appointments with you. So those are the 3 key things, guys. And putting it all together, this is an example of one of our customers that I think does a really good job at this. They've got a textable phone number up here. They've got a form front and center where they ask you what product you're interested in purchasing. And of course, this isn't restoration. This is an example of a remodeler, but the same goes for both industries. From my perspective, is textable phone number, schedule your free appointment, and then a chat widget at the bottom right. Give somebody an opportunity everywhere they go on your site to raise their hand. That's the most important thing.
Yeah, and I'll just jump in, like what you said there at the end, like always having your contact information visible on your site, no matter what page you're on. Like, that's one thing. Like we talk a lot about website stuff with our customers, and just making sure that you can contact them or they can contact you wherever they are at on your site. It's not just having the form on your homepage. Even on the About You page on your website or whatever, or your services page, always make it super, super easy with the phone number available right there. Usually a chat widget is going to pop up on every page automatically, which is amazing. That's why that's such an amazing tool, having that chat widget, because it's just there all the time. It's out of the way in the corner, but it's always visible. So yeah, 100%.
I love that. And to your point, Michael, you don't want to have your webpage be necessarily too busy. So you don't want to have even your blog posts, you don't want to have this form at the bottom
Exactly
of the page all the time. So yeah, again, giving something, and that's why I really like folks that are, we shared an example of this earlier, of a company that puts their phone number that says text us at the top right in the header itself. So every page that they go on the website, it gives the person an opportunity to click to text or click to call. So I love that.
Yep.
Cool. And we've got a free tool that we built called messaginggrader.com. So for example, if you're Restoration One, you put in your website, put in your email address. Feel free to do this right now, guys, while we're sitting here. And then you can actually see if you've implemented the things that I talked about, plus a couple others on your website in order to get to leads fast. So the goal here, guys, is we wanted to provide a free tool that helps you, see how set up your website is to connect with the most amount of leads. So it's called messaginggrader.com. Feel free to go to messaginggrader.com and put in your website and get your grade and see areas that you can improve and then how to improve those. And again, like I mentioned before, it's super easy. Get a textable phone number and make sure you have somebody to manage those texts that come in. And here at Hatch, we're happy to help you with that. Make sure you have a web form front and center. Make sure you're qualifying people with that web form by asking a few more pointed questions than you might be today. Have web chat on your website, and we're happy to help with that as well. But there's a lot of providers out there for everything that I'm talking about here. A lot of great agencies that can provide services to help you actually implement these. Feel free to go to usehatchapp.com and look in our partners section. You'll see a list of those. So again, guys, just like 3 things you need on your website: text, web form, and a, the form button center. And then of course, like I mentioned right here, having that chat widget on the bottom right. Cool. So we talked about, I want to kind of talk through a customer story as we go through this presentation. So we talked about the super top of the funnel, like people on your website, make it easy for them to raise their hand. So now what happens when they fill out the web form? What happens next? We oftentimes see that, most of you guys are setting appointments with around 40 to 80% of the leads that come in. What about those leads that aren't setting appointments? Likely they're going dark on you. They're not qualified, whatever the case is. You've got to put things in place to prevent leads from slipping through the cracks. So question for you guys. We talked through the things you need on your website. Now let's talk through what happens when you actually get a lead. So when a new lead comes in, what do you do? Text, email, call, or God forbid, do nothing, which I hope none of you guys put that in. Cool.
Call, nice.
Makes sense. Everybody on the webinar, you should see a poll come up here. Awesome. Hey, we got some folks texting. That's excellent. And one person said do nothing. I think they're just trolling us. Oh, man. Cool. Thanks, guys, for your participation there. Let me go ahead and close the poll. So it looks like majority of you guys are calling, which is great. Calling super important. Whatever you do, text, email, call, I suggest do all 3. You need to do them quickly. Yep. And I always like to do a Ricky Bobby quote whenever I talk about being first to the lead, because it's true. Like if you aren't first, you're last. If somebody has water damage in their home, they're looking at their basement and they're like, oh my gosh, what do I do? If you aren't first to the lead, they're going to go to another service or a competitor. And so people are doing research now more than ever before online for the type of work that you do. They're likely getting 2 or 3 quotes. In the remodeling space, people are getting 5 or 6 quotes, but in the restoration space, we typically find that people get 2 to 3 quotes on a job. So it's important that you're first to the lead. And just some interesting metrics that came out lately around this. You are 7 times more likely to set an appointment if you respond to a new lead in 1 hour versus 2 hours. So that's, pretty impactful. But if we actually were to bring this down to 5 minutes, you're actually 21 more times more likely to close a deal if you respond in less than 5 minutes than over 5 minutes. So I can't stress this enough, guys. If you can get it within milliseconds, that would be ideal. And certainly there's a lot of technology providers like Hatch that can help you with that, getting that speed to lead down. So that way you're first to the lead. And again, like I said, if you aren't first, you're last. So get to the lead quickly. This is an example of a template that you guys are welcome to use in your business. So Virginia's leader in fire and water restoration. People fill out the form on your site. They say what they need help with. When you immediately reach out to them, for example, doing that over text here, you reference their first name, and then you make sure you reference what they're looking for. And this is what I talked about earlier with your making sure your web form's a little bit more pointed with what you're asking to qualify that lead. Mention that, have some empathy here. I'm sorry to hear about the flood damage. Do you have a minute to chat on the phone? So if you can get on the phone with the customer or the lead in the very beginning, that's going to really increase your likelihood of setting that appointment. But obviously, you guys have cases where somebody fills out their information on your website and they don't even respond to you. And you're just wondering, like, I sent them a text. They said they're interested. Why didn't they get back to me? We see this all the time. So it's important that you have a follow-up strategy in place that if they don't respond to this first message, which by the way is really effective in the restoration space, showing empathy in the very beginning sets yourself apart. Michael, do you have any feedback on that? the
Yeah.
piece.
Yeah, I was going to say that that's great. I like the thing about what you said about showing empathy and it just personalizing it. Um, these types of conversations, especially in the restoration space, where someone may have had a situation that's pretty traumatic or just emotionally trying, if their home is damaged in some way, or a bunch of their stuff is ruined. That gives you an opportunity to really humanize your business. That's the personal touch that is so important in all company communication. And I'm sure that you guys have all know this, but I just want to reiterate that with this example right here of what Josh was saying, with just that putting that personal touch into it really, really, really is impactful to homeowners. You don't want it to sound like a scripted, like bot reply necessarily. This is personal. It addresses their problem. There's emotion in it. It's replying from a person rather than we, as in you're talking from the company's perspective. You're talking from your perspective as a representative of the company. So that's super important. And yeah, love that template there.
Cool. And like I mentioned before, what happens if leads don't respond? Most of you guys probably have cases where leads just go totally dark. They go into the ether, and you wonder, what happened? And oftentimes, I would argue that call centers do a really, really good job with getting in front of the lead over, most of you guys call the lead. I think you guys do a great job immediately getting to that lead. But one challenge that I've seen is actually setting up a process to follow up the leads that don't respond. You see this with sales reps all the time, hopping from job to job. If they say no, when they try to one call close, those leads typically don't get followed up with. So I can't stress this enough that in every part of your business that you're following up with homeowners, and follow up over text, follow up over email, follow up over voicemail, whatever you guys need to be doing to follow up, do that, and set a cadence for it as well. So an example here, and this is we call it a campaign here at Hatch when we help our clients build these, but it's multi-touch and it's multi-channel. So we're combining text, email, and call over the course of several days in order to get the lead to book the appointment. And so if we can get to the lead as soon as they come in over text, for example, your likelihood of getting that job is going to increase, like I mentioned before. But if they don't respond, it's important to follow up on the second day over call, email, and text. And at Hatch, we actually have this thing called ringless voicemail or voicemail drop, where we can just drop a voicemail. So we've seen that to be effective. There's a lot of companies out there that provide those kind of services where you can just like drop a voicemail in their inbox, and the open rate on those voicemails is just as high as text message as well. Touch 3, day 4, introduce a special offer. Likely they're shopping around for folks between day 1 and day 3, and they might be looking at a competitor or have reached out to a competitor previously. And so if you offer them, it could be a small discount that you have baked in, or a discount in, if they schedule their service by a certain date or something, that we've seen to be pretty effective. And then I call day 7 the breakup text, email, and call. In this space, speed is of the essence for the homeowner. So if by day 7 they don't get back to you, they're likely, not gonna move forward with you. So I recommend on the breakup text that you guys say something along the lines of, is this still a priority for you, or did you find somebody else to get the job done? Something like that. That seems to be pretty effective. Another effective way of doing the breakup is using the word close your file. So the word close your file is kind of jarring to folks, because they're like, oh, no, wait, no, don't close my file. I'm still interested, so that works as well. So, hey, this is Josh from Base, repair services. Should I go ahead and close your file? I haven't heard from you in a week. Something like that. That works pretty well. This is an example of automating that multi-touch follow-up. This is Hatch's campaign builder. But this is just showing you guys how important it is to, if you can, set these things on autopilot. Set your follow-up on autopilot. Lead comes in, instantly text them, and then follow up with them until they respond. So this is a template, and you guys are welcome to take a picture of the screen. We'll also send this out after. after the webinar here. But again, like I mentioned before, reference the empathy when the initial text is sent. And then on day 2, guys, when you follow up, if they don't respond the first time, ask a yes or no question. Would you like someone from my flood restoration team to come by today? If you ask a question that requires a yes or a no answer, you're going to likely get a yes or a no answer. And if you get a no answer, you're likely to get somebody that says something along the lines of this. How about tomorrow morning? So you're going to at least get the homeowner to respond in some way. So again, start with empathy, ask if they have time to chat. If they don't respond, say, would you like someone from my flood restoration team to come by today? And this will be related to what they're interested in. So if they say on the form, fire, for example, you would do something like fire restoration team. And so imply that even if you provide additional, like a lot of different services from the restoration side, make each team unique. It'll set yourself apart. It'll make you guys look like experts. So you show empathy, you show your expertise by saying you have an entire flood restoration team, and then ask them a pointed question. Would you like someone from my flood restoration team, to come by today? And then they're going to respond, how about tomorrow morning? So Hatch can do this all on autopilot for you. The lead follow-up, all that stuff, the instant speed to lead, the ongoing follow-up until they respond. So if you're interested in seeing Hatch in action, indicate so in the poll, and we'll reach out. We'll see if it makes sense for your business and if there might be a good fit. So let us know in the poll if you're interested. And Steve, that's a good question. How would I get notified that a lead responded to one of my texts? Yeah, if you're using Hatch, you would get an alert on your phone that says you got a response, and you just click a button and you can jump into the conversation. So cool. Awesome. I'll leave the poll up for just a couple more seconds. So yeah, if you'd like to see Hatch in action, no pressure here. We'll show you how it works. We'll see if it works for your business. That instant follow-up, and then of course the ongoing follow-up. If the lead doesn't respond, we're going to help you get that appointment set right up significantly. Cool. All right, I'll go ahead and close that poll. And now for the fun stuff, measuring and improving. Michael, take it away, man.
Yeah. So obviously, I'm going to be using examples from ServiceMonster because that's the CRM that I work for. But all of this can be done with any CRM, or most, I should say. Most CRMs can do this stuff. I really just want to focus on how to best optimize your sales process. And I actually would love some feedback in the chat afterwards, potentially, if you have questions or personal stories that you guys have in how your sales process works, because I always want to learn more and see other businesses in action, what works for you. But overall, you want to have your CRM optimized for basically 2 functions, especially with restoration: getting an estimate or a job scheduled really quickly if it's an emergency situation, but then also being able to keep track of that lead through a sales pipeline if it is more of a scheduled out sort of job. And then obviously through all of that, you need to be able to see where you can improve. You need to measure your success rate with all these things, and just see if there's some process that has some leakage in it, so to speak, where things are not, some leads are kind of getting lost. So the first thing is getting the appointment scheduled. So like in ServiceMonster, for example, we have a thing called Quick Add, but in any CRM, there's going to be an easy way to get the job on the schedule. When an emergency job comes in, you want to have the information ready to go. If the customer came in through a web form that you have integrated with your CRM, that information, their account information, will already be in there. Same if it came through a messaging platform like Hatch, set up that way, the information will come straight into your CRM. So you can just go enter their name, all their information should pop up, it should auto-populate. And then regardless of your CRM of choice, it's so important to have your lead integrate, or your lead capture processes integrated with every aspect of your sales process, because that quick and simple workflow is what you're going for. So like, for example, in ServiceMonster here, you enter the account, boom, it would be in there. You can put on the schedule when the job is, assign it to the proper people, and boom, they're out. Obviously, the better that your processes are set up, the faster and more efficient you can be in handling those emergency jobs. So that's the key here. The second part of it, though, is leads that are not an emergency job and are just a normal lead that you are looking to schedule. So when talking about those types of leads specifically, on the next slide, it said, I just show an example of, like on ServiceMonster, we have this dashboard on the homepage that shows your open leads. Obviously, this is example data that's not real. So it's simple, but every CRM that I've ever seen has that has a lead process, has some sort of leads list that shows you where all your recent leads are. There's a number right there on the ServiceMonster one, shows you one lead, one opportunity. So just focusing on leads right now, it's super crucial to have a very easy and visible way to see your open leads. You don't want any to slip through the cracks. You don't want to forget about them. And so with the advanced lead tracking, which is what I recommend using, I know many CRMs have it. In ServiceMonster, we call those opportunities. So in the advanced lead tracking side of things, on the next slide, I kind of talk about this opportunities thing. So I don't know if any of you guys have heard of a Kanban board. Maybe all of you have. It's modeled after a Kanban board. If your CRM doesn't have something like this, you can use other software tools to use a Kanban board, which tracks a lead through the entire sales process. So from the point of them being a new lead to when you've contacted them, to when you have sent out an estimate to them, to any follow-up that has to happen, and then finally the decision of whether or not they accept the estimate or the job has been scheduled. So these more advanced sales processes I think are super crucial, especially when you have higher ticket jobs, because like each job is a lot of money. It's a big job. It can be a multi-day large project for your team. So having systems like this in place, having sales processes like some sort of Kanban board, where you're able to keep track of all the information, you can keep track of all the notes, you can keep track of any estimates or orders that are attached to that. If there's multiple parts to the job that you want to invoice separately, you can do all of that right from there. And yeah, it's super crucial to be able to keep track of all that communication. And that's the integration part with Hatch as well. And with a ton of other communication platforms and CRMs integrate this way, where all the communication information will be stored within both platforms. So you can see the texts, like for example, using Hatch and ServiceMonster, you'll be able to see the texts that you're sending, the conversations you're having in Hatch, you'll be able to see that in ServiceMonster. So when you are managing the specifics of the job, you can still see all that past history with the customer. So on the next slide, I just want to touch
Michael,
on how you. Oh yeah, go ahead. Go ahead.
If I could just jump in here. So earlier in the webinar we showed that funnel view. Mm-hmm. What are some suggestions that you have for folks that want to make sure they're measuring that appropriately? Because a lot of folks might come in and say, okay, I'm gonna change this one thing in my business, but they don't have a way to track it. Like how do you think people should get started getting those kind of views?
Getting like in how they're tracking their close rate essentially?
Yeah, just like
yeah.
What are the best ways that you recommend? Because obviously like CRMs are one of those things where you've got to make sure that your reps are putting in the most accurate information, but like do you guys offer that sort of like view of understanding like what's in the pipeline and what's in the funnel and then tracking changes potentially? Like that's what I'm curious about.
Yeah. ServiceMonster has all that. And I honestly think that most CRMs that have a sales process are going to have that kind of stuff. Like we have, there's multiple dashboards that show what's open, what's any leads that have open activities, an activity being some step in the process that hasn't been completed yet. You can schedule those for any employee. And then also when we go to like kind of the overall view of what's working and what's not, We have a lot of dashboards that show like your lead acceptance rate, your conversion rate for different marketing campaigns, all that kind of stuff. Because that's super important to be able to track all of that. If I'm understanding your question correctly. Um, yeah.
Yeah, and then of course, like
Anything else?
rep training is like another thing I'm thinking about as well.
Yeah.
Making sure everybody's using the right, because a lot of CRMs I feel like have, you kind of get in like field hell is what I call it, where there's like a million different options for everything. How do you recommend people kind of simplify their sales process, at least when they want to simplify like the lead stages and all that stuff? Like what, I obviously know, every business can be different, but how do you suggest people kind of set up their CRM for that?
Well, honestly, it's entering in. First the step is learning the system. I see a lot of people who, whether they're using ServiceMonster or not, don't take the time to learn the system. CRMs are pretty complex just because they do a lot of things. So getting that proper training, like a ServiceMonster, we have a lot of training material. We have people you can call to help you. But once you get that, you get your information in there, you get your company info in, then it's really just learning the processes within the software, and teaching your people, teaching your employees how to do that, because consistency is key with all of these processes, with your sales process, like making, for example, with ServiceMonster, with that opportunities board, with the Kanban board, like making sure that everyone in your team knows what it is and how to use it and what each step in the process means. So that obviously then through the CRM, you can see how many people are in this stage of the sales process and how many people are in this stage, and when and where did they drop out? Was it at the estimate stage? Then you can address if there's an issue with how your estimates are being sent out. Anything like that. Yeah.
I love that. Sort of like the leaky faucet idea.
Yeah.
Or
Yeah.
leaking, or I see roof repair squad on here, Alex, leaking roof concept.
Yes. Yeah. Because you want to have your data in actionable format, and that's why we're huge on data, is being able to track that stuff. Because it's like, if all your data is flowing through your CRM, like everything, all the communication, all of the job details, all of the invoicing, all the money, everything is flowing through your CRM. Your CRM needs to be able to take that data and make it actionable for you, make it into easily digestible points for you to know if there's a leaky roof, or if something's working way better than other things. Be like, whoa, that lead source is just giving us a ton of action, so we need to focus our marketing efforts over there a little more, kind of thing. So yep, all good stuff.
I love that. So basically, like before you guys go in and start trying to address your appointment set rate and improving that, make sure you have the data and the structure set up in your CRM to support that. That's like a no-brainer, because otherwise you're not going to know if you're doing better or not.
Exactly. And it seems simple, but I know how it is. Like, even for me, like sometimes you just want to go into something, you just want to start using it. And while that's great, and obviously you want to have an easy to use product right out the gate, something like a CRM that's pretty complex, and even something like Hatch, like you want to know exactly what you're doing with all of it. And it's worth the time. It's worth spending a few hours just like watching a training video or something, or talking with a support person to learn these processes, because I have had so many conversations with customers who weren't even aware of an entire process within ServiceMonster, just because they hadn't taken the time to sit down and learn it. And then kind of having implement it later on in your business journey it's great and it's helpful, but you've lost all that time where you could have been using it. So yeah, just taking the time is super important with stuff like this, because it's one of those things where that little bit of time now is going to have a huge ROI later on, when all your processes are just like lightning fast and smooth. Then leads aren't slipping through the cracks. And if they are a little bit, then you can easily identify where they are and you can fix it right away. And that's what we want. We want to be able to help businesses run more efficient, stronger, more just more robust businesses that are super awesome at what they do and don't leave customers you know, just like, oh, I don't know this, never heard anything back from them. So you want to be able to respond right away. So, yeah. So yeah, let me know if you'd like to try ServiceMonster for free. We do have a free trial, 14 days. You can get started on your own, lots of training material, super simple to get going, just a few fields to fill out. If you want to learn a little more about some specifics of it, totally reach out to us. We have a great team of people who would love to just talk you through it. And I just want to clarify here, like, obviously, ServiceMonster is an amazing tool, but the best CRM is the one that you use. The best CRM is seriously the one that you have found that works for you. So if you have a CRM already in place, that's amazing. I would encourage you to go through these things, look at your sales process, see what options you have for your sales process within the CRM that you're using. And yeah, and just make sure all of that is dialed in as smoothly as you can.
Yeah, and I will say, Michael, the ServiceMonster is built specifically for restoration and cleaning companies. So I'd encourage you guys that you're probably using a CRM today, and you're likely happy with it. But in the very least, you could give ServiceMonster a shot, see if it might improve your business, and it's really a no-brainer. It's a 14-day trial, and I need to correct myself on that. I said, and you're probably happy with it, because the amount of people I've heard lately that are not happy with their CRM is a whole lot of people. So, and you can sign up on your website, right, Michael? So these folks, and they want to sign up. Cool.
Yep. Just servicemonster.net. Yep. Can
awesome.
Start the free trial there.
Cool. All right. So we're coming up on a little bit over time here. I said 45 minutes, but we're in the Q&A section now. So if you have any questions, hop on over to the Q&A or hop on over to the chat and just drop some questions. I know, Michael, we did a little bit of that earlier, just kind of riffing on best practices for setting up your CRM. How, like, reasonably speaking, if somebody is looking to change CRMs, or they're looking to implement a CRM, because there might be some people on here that haven't implemented a CRM, what's the timeline look like? How long does it take? Because obviously these folks are, busy running their business. So there's a lot of things happening.
I mean, it really depends, obviously, but that's not a very clear answer. So to be more clear, it can be very fast. I think with most CRMs, with ServiceMonster, with ServiceMonster specifically, I guess, it really can only take like a few minutes to get initially set up with all of your proper information. But then obviously anything like if you have an integration with QuickBooks or something like that, your accounting software, you want to get that hooked up. Setting up integrations will take a little more time. But realistically, you can have your entire CRM set up, ready to go in probably just like a couple hours if you're willing to take that time. But that's the thing, is taking the time to do it right away rather than waiting and adding in little things as you go. Just getting it all set up from the beginning, taking those couple hours. And like I said, ServiceMonster, we have a fantastic support team. It's one of the things that we get complimented on the most by our customers, actually. So I love our support team, is just how helpful they are and how attentive they are. And they're totally available to help get that stuff set up.
Awesome. Thanks, Michael. We have one more question. Yep. I have a call center today. We get to leads fast. Is it really worth it to try to incorporate texting? It's a good question. It absolutely is. The metric I showed earlier is 98% of text messages are opened and read. And then the response rate is, I think, 209% higher than email and Facebook. So I'd say if you're happy with how your call center is functioning, just incorporate the messaging side of things. And if you're using a tool like Hatch, like, we can help you set that up, and maybe dedicate somebody in your call center to handle texts. And then the rest of your call center can continue working with whatever software that they're using that's working well, or you could move everything over to Hatch. But yeah, I highly recommend that whatever you end up using for technology, that you incorporate texting in your business. It's absolutely tremendous. It's the future. When people fill out a form on their website, they adhere to your privacy policy. And so if in your privacy policy, you outline that they're basically giving you permission to text, then you're good to go there. So just make sure you have that in place before you get going. But otherwise, I suggest you get going, start, and you're off to the races. So good question.
Yep.
Cool. Well, if there's no other questions, we'll make sure that we shoot this out. We got one more question. We have a job management software already in place in Circle. I can see how Hatch can integrate with Site and our CRM. How would it work with ServiceMonster? That's a good question. So because we have an integration with ServiceMonster, when a job status changes in ServiceMonster, so for example, if the job is marked complete or something like that, Hatch can kickstart automatically a text message to go out, or an email or a voicemail to go out that says, hey, thanks for working with, base renovations or whatever. And so that's how we work together for every part of the sales process, because Hatch communications are triggered based upon lead status changes in ServiceMonster. So it's really the world's your oyster when it comes to this type of workflow. And then as you're having communications in Hatch, that all those communications get logged in the CRM in ServiceMonster immediately, so you can have a reference when you're managing that job, sending out the quote, all that stuff inside of ServiceMonster. I cannot speak highly enough of ServiceMonster. It's such a great tool, and so that's a really good question, David. And I recommend, David, that if you want to see if the two tools might work for you instead of maybe something like in Circle, that you reach out to us. And we're happy to show you guys both of our platforms. You don't necessarily have to sign up for a free trial of ServiceMonster. You can always do a demo with those guys, and they can show you how it all works. Yeah, and Christine, that's a good point. Oh, by the way, Michael, did you have anything to add with David's question?
No, you totally hit it. Yeah, just reach out to us, and I just want to clarify with the free trial, it's like no credit card or anything. It's literally just you enter in like your name and phone number and email, and that's it. There's no auto charge or anything, so it's super simple. And if you just want to learn more, David, we'd be happy to have one of our sales team reach out to you and just show you what it does and talk with you about what you need. No pressure at all there, but I think could be something that'd be really useful for your business.
Thanks, Michael. And Christine, we have a lot of elderly clients with no cell phones and don't text. Yeah, that's a really good point. We're seeing that a lot in the shower walk-in space, safe step space, those kind of like products that are typically older folks. What we do find though is that elderly clients are oftentimes the people booking appointments for elderly clients are their son or daughter or their grandson, granddaughter that might be more tech savvy and have a text, a text enabled phone. So I suggest that you incorporate texting as well as what you've been doing traditionally, which is likely calling and emailing. Another technology that I suggest you incorporate is what we call voicemail drops or ringless voicemail. So that way you can, at scale, when you follow up with a new lead, you can just drop a voicemail, and Hatch, we can help you with that. But you can just drop a voicemail in their inbox. So instead of you having to manually pick up the phone and call somebody or use a dialer, you're actually just dropping a voicemail and telling them to give you a call back. And then when the call comes in, you can handle that. So that's what I suggest that you use is a full combination, because oftentimes, like I mentioned, it's the son or grandson, booking those jobs, or at least booking the appointment. Cool. Well, thanks guys for staying on. Looks like everybody stuck around towards the end of the Q&A, so that makes me happy. Hope you guys enjoyed that. We'll send out the deck after the webinar and the recording so you can share it with your team. I guess key takeaways here: get to leads fast, implement have a form front and center on your website that qualifies, text, web chat is really, really effective. Michael, set up your CRM for success. Make sure you're setting it up to measure and track before you try to improve things. because otherwise you're going to be killing it blind. So
Yep.
cool. Yeah, you're welcome, Christine. Thanks, Alex, for hopping on, man. We'll see you guys in the next one. Thanks, Michael.
Yep. Good to see you guys.
Have
All
a good
right.
rest of your week.